October 22nd, 1987. Rain. Cold. Ruthless. Water is drumming on the roof of the old Ford. The windscreen wipers are squeaking. Inside the car is Detective Robert Kessler, 43 years old, 20 years in the Seattle Police Department. Tired eyes, trembling hands on the steering wheel. He's looking at the house across the street, an ordinary house. White siding, the red door, children's toys on the porch. Kessler doesn't know it yet, but in 40 minutes he will enter this house and find something that will change criminology forever. He'll find the print, not a finger, no shoes, an imprint that shouldn't exist. Today, about 40% of homicides in the United States remain unsolved each year. 40%. This means that out of every 10 murderers, 4 are simple. They disappear. They disappear into society. They live next to us. But this story is not about them. This is a story about a case that was closed. Twice. Wrong both times. And about one person who couldn't stop. 6 months before that rainy evening, April 15th, 1987, Anne Marie Burroughs, 26 years old, a nurse at a children's hospital. He goes out for a run at 6:30 every morning. He returns home at 7 o'clock sharp every evening. On April 16, she did not come to work. Her colleague, Jennifer Holmes, called the police at 9:47 a.m. The patrol arrived at Anne's house at 10:15 a.m. The door is not locked. There is silence inside. Coffee in the coffee maker. Brewed, but not drunk. The TV is working. News. Anne Marie Burroughs is lying in her bedroom. She's dead. The first detective on the scene is Michael Thornton, 31 years old, ambitious, fast. Too fast, as it turns out later. He sees the scene and draws conclusions. There are no signs of forced entry. So she knew the killer. There are no signs of a struggle in the living room. So it all happened in the bedroom. There's an empty glass on the bedside table. Next to it is a bottle of wine. Thornton is interviewing the neighbors. Mrs. Kellerman from the house across the street remembers, last night, around 8, she saw a man at Anne's door. Tall, dark jacket. They hugged each other. He came in. By noon, Thornton has a name. David Clark, Anne's ex-boyfriend. They broke up 3 months ago. He called her a lot. Colleagues say that Anne complained he couldn't let go. By evening, David Clark is arrested. David Clark is sitting in the interrogation room, 29 years old, an engineer at Boeing. A clean record. Not a single violation. I loved her, he says. I would never. Thornton puts a photograph on the table. David is at Anne's door. Last night. You were there. Yeah, I came by. We talked. I wanted her back. She said no. I left. About 9 o'clock. She was alive. No one saw you leave. Because it was dark. I left through the backyard. She asked for it. She said the neighbors were gossiping. There is no alibi. There is a motive. There is a possibility. The prosecutor is charging him with second-degree murder. Trial, December 1987. The courtroom is crowded. Anne's parents are in the front row. A mother holds a photo of her daughter. The protection is weak. David doesn't have the money for a good lawyer. The public defender is young, inexperienced. The prosecutor paints a picture. An obsessive ex-lover. Refusal. Rage. Tragedy. The jury is leaving for a meeting. 4 hours later, they return. Guilty. David Clark gets 18 years. The case is closed. But Robert Kessler was not at that trial. He was on vacation, personal problems, divorce, alcohol. The department suspended him for 3 months. When he returned in January 1988, the Burroughs file was already in the archive. He wasn't thinking about him until October 22nd, 1987. Back to the beginning. Kessler is sitting in the car. He looks at the house with the red door. The call came 40 minutes ago. Another murder. Woman, 24 years old. Sarah Lindstrom, the teacher. The same picture. No break-in, no struggle. An empty glass by the bed. Kessler enters inside, and he sees it. On the bedroom floor, next to the body, the print. Not a shoe, not shoes. A bare footprint, but not the usual one. This print is strange, deformed. He has 6 fingers. Kessler stands motionless. His mind is working. 6 fingers. Polydactyly, a rare genetic anomaly. It occurs in 1 in 1,000 people. David Clark is in prison. Means, so they were wrong. The next 2 days, Kessler is awake. He brings up the Burroughs case, reads every page. He's looking at crime scene photos and finds it in the corner of one photo, almost invisible, on the wooden floor of Anne Marie's bedroom, a partial print, bare feet, with 6 fingers. He goes to Captain Harris. We've imprisoned an innocent man. Harris looks at the photos. He is silent for a long time. That's not proof, he says finally. It could be a coincidence. Different people, similar deformations, 2 murders, the same handwriting, the same fingerprint, or a copy. Someone who knew about the Burroughs case. The case was closed. The details were not published. Harris sighs. Kessler, you don't have a case. You have a theory. The court will not overturn the verdict based on theory. But Kessler doesn't stop. He starts digging. Self in leisure time, sometimes instead of sleeping. He studies polydactyly. He calls the medical centers, hospitals, looking for records of people with 6 toes in the Seattle area. Patient confidentiality, walls, refusals. But one doctor helps. Dr. Elizabeth Chen, pediatrician. She remembers the incident. Boy, born in 1961. Surgery to remove the 6th finger, but the parents refused. Religious beliefs. Name, Thomas Wade. Thomas Wade, born on March 3, 1961, Seattle, the only child. My father is a preacher in a small church. The mother is a housewife. School records, a quiet child, few friends, good grades. In 1979, he entered the University of Washington, studied biology. He quit in 1983. The reason is unknown. After that, there is emptiness. There are no tax returns. There is no address. There are no records. Thomas Wade was gone. Kessler finds his mother. She lives in a nursing home, 82 years old, dementia. But in rare moments of clarity, she says, Tommy was a good boy, quiet, too quiet. His father beat him. He said that 6 fingers were the sign of the devil. Tommy left. I don't know where to go. Months of searching. Kessler works alone. The department does not support him. Harris warns, leave it alone. You're going to ruin your career. But Kessler can't. He's thinking about David Clark in prison for a crime he didn't commit. He's thinking about Sarah Lindstrom and Anne Marie Burroughs and that the killer is still there. Breakthrough. March 1988. Kessler checks the utility records, electricity, water, looking for anomalies, addresses without names, invoices paid in cash, finds one. A small house in Renton, a suburb of Seattle. Electricity was connected in 1984. The bills are sent to the subscriber's mailbox. They are paid in cash at the post office. Kessler is going there. House, gray, shabby, an overgrown garden. The curtains are closed. Kessler has been observing for 3 days. The man goes out once a day. Tall, skinny, dark hair, about 30. He goes to the grocery store, buys a little, is returning. Kessler checks the trash, finds receipts. Food for 1, bleach, lots of bleach. And the magazine, newspaper clippings, articles about the murders. Anne Marie Burroughs, Sarah Lindstrom. Kessler gets a warrant. March 12, 1988. Sunrise. The team breaks into the house. Thomas Wade is in the bedroom, sleeping. They find photos of the victims, maps of their routes, a diary with dates, plans, and in the bathroom, on the shelf, bottles. Rohypnol, a drug for euthanasia. Thomas Wade sits quietly, hands on the table. Kessler shows the photos. Anne Marie Burroughs, Sarah Lindstrom. Did you know them? Silence. We found your fingerprints, 6 fingers. You were there. Wade looks at Kessler. For the first time, they didn't suffer. He says softly, I was kind. Thomas Wade confesses to both murders, explains the technique. He followed the women. I studied their schedules. He came in the evening. He knocked. He said that the car was broken. He needed a phone. They let him in. He put the drug in the water. They were falling asleep. He was strangling them. Quickly. Why is that? Kessler asks. Wade looks at his hands. My father said I was cursed, that God made me wrong. I wanted to prove that he was right. David Clark is released from prison on March 20th, 1988. He spent 4 months there. Reporters surround him, questions, cameras, flashes. He only says one thing: I want to go home. But the house is gone. His job is lost. The apartment is lost. The friends turned away. The killer label doesn't wash off easily, even when you're innocent. The trial of Thomas Wade, July 1988. The defense is trying to prove insanity. Psychologists talk about childhood trauma, religious violence, isolation. The prosecutor shows the diary: planning, methodicalness, control. The jury deliberates for 2 days. Guilty on all counts. Thomas Wade receives a life sentence without parole. The Seattle Police Department is conducting an internal investigation. Detective Thornton is criticized for being too hasty. Insufficient verification. Tunnel vision. He's quitting in a month. Captain Harris retired in 1990. Robert Kessler receives the Distinguished Service Award. He doesn't come to the ceremony. A year later, he meets David Clark at a cafe. They didn't plan this. An accident. Clark looks older, thinner, gray hair at the temples. "How are you?" Kessler asks. Clark shrugs her shoulders. "I'm alive." Pause. "Thank you," Clark says, "for not stopping." Kessler shakes his head. "I should have started earlier." Thomas Wade in prison. He's a quiet prisoner. Is reading. He writes letters that he never sends. In 1995, he gave an interview to a criminal psychologist. "Are you sorry?" the psychologist asks. Wade thinks for a long time. "I regret that I was born." He finally says, the year 2003, Robert Kessler is retiring. 35 years of service. He's moving to a small town in Oregon. He buys a house by the lake. But he can't stop. He consults, helps with cold cases. He teaches young detectives. Take your time, he tells them. One missed print, one untested detail, and an innocent man loses his life. The year 2015. David Clark is getting married, the second time. He works for a nonprofit organization that helps released prisoners. "I know how it feels," he says. "Come out and realize that the world has forgotten you." He's happy, as much as possible. But sometimes at night, he wakes up. He sees the walls of the cell. He hears the sound of locks. Some prisons are invisible. The year 2018. Thomas Wade is dying in prison. Cancer. 57 years old. No one comes to the funeral. He is buried in the prison cemetery. A simple stove. Just the number. Today, Robert Kessler is 81 years old. He's sitting on the porch of his house. He looks at the lake. There is a folder next to it. The old one. It's battered. The Burroughs case. He opens it sometimes. He looks at the photos, reads reports. He thinks about what he could have done differently, about the 4 months that David Clark lost, about the 2 women he hadn't saved. Lesson. Justice is not perfect. The system is not infallible. People are in a hurry. They draw conclusions. They see what they want to see. And sometimes one person, stubborn, tired, refusing to give up, is all that stands between truth and oblivion. Back to the Rain. 2 October 22, 1987. Kessler is sitting in the car. He looks at the house. He doesn't know yet what he'll find there. He doesn't know that the next few months will change everything. But he knows one thing. When he enters this house, he will look carefully. He won't miss a single detail, because details are everything. The epilogue. In 2019, the Seattle Police Department implemented a new protocol. Every crime scene is now photographed in high resolution. Each fingerprint is scanned digitally. Each detail is documented twice. The protocol is called the Kessler Rule. He never wanted his name on it, But the captain insisted. "People need to remember," she said, "that one person can change everything."